Hello. Hello, Ramin.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine. And you?
Good, good.
You hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly.
Good.
I just hope it lasts. By the way, Aliza said this is also being recorded. So,
Yeah, we are already online, I think.
yes. So, but we just have to let the others in. But this portion is being recorded.
Yeah.
So are you fully recovered from the rally?
Yeah, I did. I have 𝚙𝚘𝚅𝚘𝚗 in the waiting room, but he's not supposed to attend in advance, right?
Who?
𝚙𝚘𝚅𝚘𝚗.
Yeah, he always comes in early. You have to
Yeah.
wait a little bit for him. Yes, I think he's coming in from the States. Yeah.
Good.
Okay. So I'm hoping we can
wait.
get.
We just let in Timo and the other people.
Yeah, Ҭimo, Dr. 𝗙𝗍𝚅, and Johannes Hübner.
Okay. Then after your speech, you want to show a video, right?
I'm not going to do a speech. I'm just going to be, as always, do a general introduction, welcome the guests, talk a little bit about their backgrounds, and then introduce Ҭimo. Ҭimo will introduce the video, then discuss a little bit, and then he'll hand over to Dr. 𝗙𝗍𝚅 and then Johannes Hübner.
Okay, let me give a try for the video to be... Okay. You see my Facebook page here?
Yes, I can.
Audio was not working.
Yeah. Because it's supposed to just be music.
Yeah, 1 minute and 12 seconds.
Yep.
You see it properly, right?
Yes, very good.
Okay, then I release. And yeah, okay. So this is set. And then Dr. 𝚙𝚍𝚅 will want to show his presentation. Let's give it a try.
And I think Johannes Hübner had a list that he had. I don't know if he wants to show it because I didn't hear back from him after the last email.
You see it? I mean, you see it?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, and then in this way.
Perfect. It fits in very well. Yes.
Okay. Perfect. And then let's see the other one. So should I show a list?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just closing up some windows so it's less messy. What's his name again? Hübner.
Hübner, yes.
It just says he plans to enter the meeting. That's it. I don't see him.
Okay, so he didn't reply to my email then.
No. Let's see. We have people awaiting. So, 𝚙𝚘𝚅𝚘𝚗, I let him in, and 𝚙𝚑𝚗𝚍, I let him in.
Yes.
Okay. Hello, Timo. Microphone.
There we go.
Dr.
Hello. Hi,
𝚙𝚍𝚅.
Ҭimo.
Nice
How are
to
you?
see you.
Good afternoon. Nice to see all of you. Thank you for the opportunity again.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. 𝚙𝚍𝚅. It's a pleasure to see you again.
And we also have Johannes Hübner with us.
Ah, wonderful.
Hello, Mr. Hübner. Your microphone, please. We don't hear you. Turn on
the microphone.
Mr. Hübner. Okay,
Now,
here you are. Okay,
Yes, here
we
you
hear
are.
you. Hello.
Hello, Ramin. I have been sitting a long time besides you in the meeting, and I still keep many of the pictures you gave me.
Oh,
It's a
wonderful.
remembrance to the Historic Commission of the FIA, where we have been
Yes.
working together.
Yes, it was a big honor for me to work with you, Mr. Hübner. I really enjoyed it,
So it
and
was
I
for
really have
me.
some good memories of working with you.
Yeah. So
It's a
sorry
pleasure
to
to
the
see you.
others that I started with Ramin, but since I know him, I just wanted to say hello to him.
Yes.
Nice to
thank you.
meet you. Hello. No problem.
Hey, welcome. It is Johan who has been like a bridge between me and Johannes here and us others, and it's very good to have you with us because you are from Germany and you know a lot of both buses and trucks and vehicles in
Yeah,
common.
it's very
and
interesting.
local.
It's very interesting for me because I'm working with this kind of bus teams for a long time. And actually, I'm still the safety head of the Safety Commission of the Coach Tourism Board. So in case we have big accidents, I always have to send people in and help and make the analysis and everything like this. But it's a good job at the moment because there have been no accidents this year yet. No
Thank God,
big
yeah.
accidents this year.
Good.
Yes.
Thank you.
So just before we start, Mr. Hübner, I wrote a little introduction because I'll be introducing the guests at the beginning of the chat room. Were you okay with what I wrote?
Yes, thank you very much. I'm not all the time at the screen, so I just read it before I started here.
Okay.
So I couldn't react any because it was too late. But yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, fantastic. So,
Mr. Hübner, just a technical question, Ramin, if I may. You have
Please,
anything to present, or you will just speak? Mr. Hübner?
No, I don't have any other presentations, but I think something is starting before I'm in question. Some other things are happening before.
Yeah. Oh, hello, Alizé. Welcome on board.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good morning.
So Alizé is also there now.
Yes. From
Her name is
Kosovo.
Alizé. From
So
Kosovo,
I
yes.
I hope the network will remain the same until the end. Fingers crossed. Thank you,
always have the
Mario,
same
for being there.
You're welcome. It's here is stable. I hope it stays this way.
Yeah.
So gentlemen and lady, just before we start, I just do a very quick run through. I will do an introduction in the beginning about the purpose of the chat room, why we're doing this special occasion, and I'll introduce the guests. And then I'll hand over to Timo, and there will be a quick 1 minute 30-second film just showing, which was made by the colleagues at Netfen, the 130 years. He'll discuss about what the Utilitarian Commission is doing, and what kind of and why they've made this into a world event, and maybe talk a little bit about the FIVA ID card that is going to be given to the bus there. He'll hand over to Dr. Nego-zi.
Ramin, excuse me.
Yep.
Can I say some words before the film and then?
Okay, so before we start the film, I'll hand over to you.
Yes.
Okay. And then you can start the film. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. This is why we have this run through.
Let's try the film again, just to be that sure it works.
Because I can tell that here is some pictures in the form of video from Netfen, and here we can see blah blah blah.
But you can see that we have still 6 minutes before the official time to start. So I don't know if anybody is missing anything if we start the film now.
No, it's just to give it a try. It's just to give it a try, not to watch the movies ourselves. Just a second. Okay.
And I tell you that now we can see blah blah, some film, some video.
Yeah.
Short video.
Okay, so when you tell me, it will be like this and then like this. Okay.
Yes, good.
I tried it twice already, Ramin, so I guess now it should work fine. All right.
Perfect.
Okay.
Just one thing then, when we launch the YouTube broadcast, it starts from the very beginning of the session. So it means that all we are discussing now will be online too.
Yes.
Okay. Well, this is the free discussion, so the public can see it as well. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. 4 minutes to go. Okay. So, Mr. Hübner, I believe you're going to talk about the buses which are going to be attending in the event, right? And some of the issues with respect to the actual event. Is that correct?
Yeah, I can do this. I'm not very familiar with the FIVA schedule. So you have certain meetings and other things, which I don't know exactly when you will do this, but I think it's circulated in your party that what is happening when and where. I just know that I'm the scrutineer for one of the buses, a Swiss
you have certain
bus,
meetings and
and
other
we will hand over, I hope so, the certificate, and we will check the bus and we'll show how this is done. So I don't know when this will be happening exactly. Johann König will give me a time slot in which it is happening. But I think this is quite interesting because then one bus will receive a certificate, a FIVA passport, and the other one will have final scrutineering to receive it. And as far as I know, they have already prepared the second FIVA document also.
Okay, very good, very good.
So I don't know exactly at what FIVA things happen at what time. I think that's what you know. You start already on Friday, I think, and there's an evening and things like this.
But that's nothing that mean to be mentioned. But can you tell something about what's happening in Netfen?
Yeah, of course. I will tell. I can go through the time schedule, but not through the details, just tell which is the main day and what can be seen there. And there's also a bus tour where the buses are driving in a certain circuit and will be presented to the public. And it starts with a presentation of the buses in 3 different places in Netfen because it's not such a big place. And they have 3 big parking lots where the historic buses will be arriving on Friday, and on Saturday there will be some kind like a bus mile where all those buses will be presented in a row. I don't know exactly how Netfen will do it. If they do it by number, then it would not be by year. But we will see how the bus drivers and owners arrange themselves where they park together. But we will have good documentation with the buses so people can identify which coach has been built in what year.
Okay.
Yeah. So I can give a glance to the activities that are planned in Netfen, and I think this could be quite interesting because I mean for this it's a smaller town. I think you will have noticed, and for this small town it's a very big honor to have such an event with international reputation and to have the luck that this happened 130 years ago, and they are doing a lot. What smaller cities in regions all over the world are doing when they have a big jubilee. And I think they have the right to be proud to do what they do. It's a very special presentation which is integrated in the city.
Good.
Okay.
Okay, it's 5 o'clock. We have, strangely enough, we don't have participants in the waiting room at the moment.
We should wait a few minutes.
Yeah, we wait a bit longer. But
Okay.
anyway, from now on, as soon as they show up, I will open the meeting room.
Okay.
We had a participant already, so the thing is working.
I can see 6 people waiting, right?
Right, because now we are admin, Alizé.
Okay.
Maybe let them in, maybe.
I let them in?
Ramin, fine with you?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so do we have all the people in?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, so gentlemen, dear guests, are we ready to start?
I say that we should wait until 5 minutes past 4.
Okay. Okay. And I'd like to just say good afternoon to our guests. We are starting the program in about 2 minutes, so please bear with us. Okay. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to our chat room tonight. The theme of the chat room tonight is the road to Netphen. As you're aware from the advertisements that were sent, we're celebrating the 130th year of the establishment of the first bus line in Netphen, Germany. And FIVA will be having a world event there on the 14th and 15th of June to celebrate this really what can be said to be a paradigm shift in transportation. And I'd like to say that we're very honored to have 3 very distinguished guests joining us tonight. The first is Mr. 𝚑𝚘𝚗𝚘𝚘, the director of the Utilitarian Commission of FIVA, who's really, he and his team are dedicated to protecting and preserving utilitarian vehicles, buses, trucks, tractors, and really we are indebted to them for the wonderful and hard work that they do, the time that they spend and the energy they put into this. So we're very honored to have Timo with us tonight. We also have Dr. 𝚑𝚘𝚗𝚘𝚘𝚘, who is the publisher of Rare and Unique Vehicles. He'll do a little bit more of an introduction of his background in his presentation, but I can say for a fact that he is a walking, talking encyclopedia of all things vehicular. So we thank him for joining us tonight and taking part in this discussion. And also, I'm very pleased to have an old friend, Mr. Johannes Hübner, who is joining us. And Johannes has been in the past working with ADAC. He was for years, he was one of the distinguished members of the FIA Historic Commission. and he has over 3 decades of experience organizing events around the world, and including concours events. And he'll be partaking on behalf of the city of Netphen tonight in helping to organize this wonderful event on behalf of the city. Also, we're glad to see we have our Secretary General, Mr. Jean-Mario Mollard, and our media partner, Alizé from CESLAIA, who will be joining us, helping to moderate this discussion tonight. So I welcome each and every one of you, and I think it'll be a discussion to remember. So if you allow me, I'd like to hand over to Timo, and Timo will say a few words and present a short film, and we'll start from there. Timo, may I ask you to start?
Thank you, Ramin. And welcome everybody all over the world where you are to this chat room. FIVA is a worldwide federation, and there is 6 commissions, of which one is for utilitarian vehicles, heavy vehicles, military vehicles, and all kind of utility work vehicles. And this year we have buses as our team. Last year we had military vehicles, and year before we had tractors. And now this event in Netphen, that's one of those events in FIVA World Event, FIVA events list, and only some of them can be world event. A week ago there were a motorcycle rally in Italy as a world event, and this is for heavy vehicles, this in Netphen for buses. And why that? Yes, this world event is one of the most important events every year, and I should like to begin in the beginning, so a short video from Netphen, what it can be looked like. In the beginning there is very old pictures, and then I want to show something else for you. Jan?
Okay. Okay.
Here we go. This is how it began for 130 years ago. And these pictures are from 100 years anniversary for 30 years ago. And now we have a new anniversary this year. This is viewing nice views from Netphen area, where the buses are driving about the same roads what they were used from the beginning. And you can soon see a white building. This is the first bus office, bus start place. In the event there is also some new buses showing how they can be driven in other kind of gasolines or fuels like electricity and so on. There I can say to you also that this event, as every event of FIVA, are organized by somebody else, and this time is Netphen City, the main organizer, and we are helping them with our local federation in German, the member of FIVA ADAC. I thank you, people from ADAC who have helped us a lot in this planning for this event. And as I told already, there is other kind of fuels, and so new for diesel buses is HVO 100, and all the buses who want to try this sustainable diesel fuel can do it in this event. So we are thinking about the environment a lot. Last time for 100 years anniversary, there were 100,000 people along the roads waving and looking at those about 100 buses driving this tour. And about what's happening in Netphen and about these buses, we have Johannes who can tell you more about that. So from FIVA and the Commission, Utilitarian Commission that I am director, I hope that many of you and other people are coming to Netphen and take this great opportunity to see those buses and highlighted milestones of many years, how buses look like past and maybe some new ones also. And we are presenting those two FIVA ID card buses. Also, there is a certain identification card that every vehicle can get if they are passing some criteria. So I think I leave over to Ramin and maybe Pal.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Timo. Pal, would you like to start your presentation, please?
Okay, thank you. I think it's not me who will start the presentation. I'm just talking about the presentation. This is the end.
It's online.
Yeah, can you go back to the first one?
Sure.
That this is almost, yeah, this is the first one. Okay, okay. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for the opportunity. It's a very interesting anniversary. 130 years ago, the first petrol-driven bus was put into use in the German city of Netphen, between Netphen and Siegen. So I will talk a little bit about that. First of all, a little bit of introduction about myself. Can we go to the next slide? Yeah. I'm one of the few people who wrote a thesis on the history of automotive or motoring museums. So I'm a historian, I'm a museum professional, and also a writer and publisher. Some of you know my magazine, The Rare and Unique Vehicles, which has won the 𝚑𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘 Award in 2022 for exemplary treatment of automotive history. I also look at museums. I love automotive museums, so I have a directory of museums at automuseums.info, and you can see a couple of other things which I'm doing. And today, my focus is on buses. We can go to the next slide, please. Yes, this is the bus. If we go back to the 1880s, the car Benz patented his motor car in 1886, and in 1888 he introduced the car at the Munich exhibition, and then a year later it was it was shown at the Paris World Fair. This is when the automobile started its worldwide journey, and at the same time there were a lot of regions all over Europe which were poorly developed, and the only viable transportation option was either to walk or to use horse-drawn carriages, and that was the situation in the German Netphen region near Siegen in South Westphalia. There was a railway network, but that was in Siegen, and if you look at the map, that was not suitable for a lot of people. So therefore, they were relying on the horse-drawn carriage. There was a scheduled horse-drawn carriage between Netphen and Siegen. However, that went on the mornings and the evenings, so this was not really convenient. So the city fathers decided that they would like to set up something extraordinary and new, a bus line. They gave Benz an order to build 2 petrol fuel and so engine-powered buses. Benz, the title of this slide is Benz Patent Motorwagen Omnibus. I will tell you why it's this very long name, because everybody calls this the omnibus, which was based on the 4-wheel Landau with an enclosed passenger compartment, able to carry 8 passengers, and the 2 drivers at the front were largely unprotected. This bus was powered by a 1-cylinder engine, 2.6 liters, which was mounted at the rear, drove the rear wheels by chain, and the vehicle had a maximum speed of 20 km/h. It weighed 1.2 tons, and the wheelbase was 2 meters, and the whole vehicle was 3.4 meters long. The first of these, let's call it intercity buses, was delivered on the 12th of March 1895. The second 3 weeks later, for 6,000 marks. And it was a 15-kilometer route between Siegen, Netphen, and Deuz, not to be confused Deuz with the German town of Deuz. So this is Deuz without the T. It had 5 stops. You can go back to the previous slide. Yeah, this was the route. No, the route is fine. You can go to the next slide. Yeah, so this was how the schedule looked like. I don't know how many of you are familiar with cursive. This is not so bad when it's handwritten, it's even more difficult. So this tells you that this was the Netphener Omnibus Gesellschaft, the Netphener Omnibus Company. You can see the route, so when it started and how long did it take to go from one direction to the other. Most of the stops were near inns, which was very convenient. Naturally, the issue was with fuel, because what was used as a forerunner of petrol was available at pharmacies back then. There 4 times a day went the bus, and there was an 80 meters elevation. This was not an easy route because there were no roads, naturally. The delicate solid rubber tires frequently jumped off the rims, so they tried iron tires. It improved the running characteristics, but led to a significant impairment of road grips. In rainy weather, some hills could only be negotiated with the strong assistance of the passengers, meaning the passengers had to get off the bus and push it. Also, if on these very poor roads, the engine-powered bus approached a horse-drawn carriage or a stagecoach, they had to stop and turn off the engine not to frighten the horses. So this was very difficult. So after a few months, the city of Netphen returned the 2 buses to Carbens and stopped the experiment. Nonetheless, this adventure or venture deserves recognition, as this was the first bus line by a petrol-engined vehicle. Can we go to the next slide? So the reason that I call this not just the omnibus, but the Benz patent motorwagen omnibus, that if you look at the old brochures of Benz, I have an 1893 brochure, and this is an 1895 brochure. Karl Benz was so proud of the fact that he had a patented motor car, that he called all of his cars up until the second half of the 1890s the Benz patent motorwagen. So the 1893 brochure shows 3- and 4-wheel vehicles. The 4-wheeler is now called Victoria, but in reality, in the brochure, it was just called patent motorwagen. Everything was called patent motorwagen, and what we now call the model name, let's call it the model designation, such as Victoria, Landau, Velo, and so on, were basically body style designations. The next slide, please. The funny thing is that I'm Hungarian, so I have to tell you a little story about Hungary. In 1893, a guy who imported a Benz car into Hungary in November 1892 decided to participate in a tender for the omnibus, the horse-drawn omnibus service in Budapest, and he wanted to replace it with motor buses. But obviously he was too early. But he held demonstrations. There is evidence that he held at least one, possibly 2 demonstrations. So that was before Netfen, but that was not really a bus. That was a 3-wheeler Benz car carrying probably 2 passengers. After the Netfen experiment, it took a few years for the German to go back to this field. But in the meantime, in 1896, Panhard and Levasseur introduced the first omnibus, which was petrol-driven, and a year later, both Panhard, Levasseur, and De Dion, can we show the next slide, please? Introduced, yes, so in 1897, you can see that there were already a couple of omnibuses, and these, so in France, this became, I'm not saying widespread, but they started using petrol-driven omnibuses. Having said all of this, and this is absolutely laudable, we cannot forget the fact that buses were were on the roads much long before the petrol-driven vehicle. Can we show the next slide, please? In fact, between 1825 and 1829, British guy, Sir 𝚐𝚐𝚅, he took out a patent for a steam carriage, and he created a steam-powered road vehicle which completed the London to Bath route a couple of times. And then a couple of years later, in 1833, Walter Hancock introduced the Enterprise for the London Paddington Steam Carriage Company, which was operated between London Wall and Paddington between 1833 and 1840. Can we go to the next slide? And in 1873, Amadei Bolli built the Obeisante, the obedient one, which was able to carry 12 passengers, pilot and the driver. All of these were steam powered. And then in 1889, there was a British guy, Radcliffe Ward, who began operating an electric omnibus also in London for a very short time, which was built for him by Walter 𝚑𝚑, who worked on batteries at the time. And for a very short time, there were 2 electric buses in London. So this was my very short and hopefully interesting to the point presentation on the history of buses. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ňáguiezi. It was really enlightening, and I think we all thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you so much. So if I'd like to now ask our distinguished colleague, Mr. Hübner, to join in now and make his presentation, please.
Yeah, presentation without pictures, but I want to tell some of the things behind the meeting. Why? This is the biggest question. Is it in Netphen? What is Netphen in the world? It's nearly nothing. But these people in Netphen, they were real pioneers, because what was behind the invention of this bus line, that the workers that had to go to the steel fabrics in Siegen had to walk in the morning 3 hours in the morning and back from the shift 3 hours again. And they could not afford to pay the coach with the horses. So there was the glance at a new kind of transport. And imagine, please, what it means if a small city like Netphen, with no direct train access, as we heard from Pal, decides we want to buy an omnibus. This is as if they would today decide we will be autonomous traffic from today on. We'll do everything automatically, whatever. It was a big experiment, and they risked this, and they decided first to buy one of these buses. Later on, they bought another one. But why did it end in December? Because they were facing Christmas time and snow, and they had no good tires. And if you looked at the pictures of this bus in the presentation we saw, there were no brakes. I mean, to go in winter with such a vehicle without brakes, with a one-cylinder engine with about 5 horsepower, this was really something very courageous. And that's, I think, why this jubilee in Netphen is quite important. It shows that people had a vision and tried to fulfill the idea that was behind the vision. And they invested a lot of money to do this. And it's a pity that it ended 4 days before Christmas Eve in 1895, because it was no longer safe to drive this bus under these conditions that were there. They had to buy the petrol in the pharmacy. There were no tarmac roads. And it was really hard because there was no electric light on the bus. So in winter, where the days in the morning when you go to work are still full night, this bus must have been an adventure to drive with and to be transported by it. And I think that's why it is right that this kind of courage that was taken by Netphen is honored today still as the first bus line with petrol bus line cars from Benz in Mannheim. And today we would say, like Ralph Nader later on said, this was unsafe at any speed, but they did it. And this is what I like on this team. And so one of the people who lives in Netphen, he was the one who invested also money. His grandfather, his great-grandfather, invested money in this first bus line, Mr. Irle. And he then decided already in the 70s, in the late 70s, to build a replica of this old bus, so that people can still have the idea what it meant to drive with this. And we are very happy that this is in Netphen, and that there's also another replica that will be with the tour that we will have on Saturday. And if you allow, I will try to guide you a little bit through the program. The main day is, of course, Saturday. And Saturday is the day of the buses. That means in the morning at 9 to 10, it starts that people can visit these buses, go inside, tell questions, and so on. And this is starting in Deuz, but also then in Netphen in the center, and at 2 other places that are well documented, that can be found easily, because there's also a circular bus line that brings people around to the different places. One of the first highlights is that at 1 o'clock on Saturday, the 14th of June, there will be a bus corso or how do you say, a coach drive, a rally. It's a circuit of about more than nearly 40-kilometer lengths, and these buses, all these buses will go this circuit. The good idea is that many of these buses have drivers with an actual license, so they will also be able to take passengers on the tour. Some of them, and it will be noticed where these buses are and which of the buses will take passengers. Then alongside this route, there will be many small little village festivals to honor this kind of jubilee of 130 years of bus traffic. And the first of the buses of the tour will approximately return to Netphen 2 hours after this depart. That means at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, something like this. And we will be presenting all these buses there. We will presenting them at the departure already, but this will be shortly because they will have to be sent away. But when they arrive, then we will have a little bit more time. And I will be there together with Konrad Auberter, who is one of the leading persons in Germany who is caring about historic buses. Konrad Auberter and me, we will have a loudspeaker stand where all the buses are coming in, and we will then at this good place in the center of Netphen present all the buses and the history and the specialities and so on. And then there will be some kind of a big feast in Netphen until in the evening. And there's also later on at the place where there is the, how do you call it, Lord Major's house. There will be even a music and festival until late in the night. Then on Sunday, the 15th, there will be mainly the presentation of the buses in the city at all these 3 places that were located to be show places for the buses, because you can't park them all in one place, so they are aligned in the city. And there's a booklet, and this booklet shows exactly who is where and what is where. From 11 o'clock on Sunday, there will be the same thing that has been also on Saturday from 11 o'clock on, the so-called Mile of Mobility. And there will be many, many concepts of the future and some of the ideas of yesterday, some historical aspects and so on. And I will try to present myself just a film, because there's no real car existing, a new car, a new coach or bus that is designed by the quite well-known designer 𝚑𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘 where small bus modules are following each other, just electronically attached to each other. So sometimes in between can be modules that carry goods to spread them out in a city. And this kind is a system that is working autonomous and will be the traffic of the future, where we try to make clear that not the huge buses we have today, which are in the evening nearly empty and still traveling around in the cities, are the solution, but small modules that can be parked where you have the bus station and you can already pop in and sit down and wait there, sheltered for the weather. And then the bus is coming and just electronically docking on and taking this other module with him. And probably in front of him is an empty module. He will place that and then at the next station to prepare it again with new people who want to drive with this. So there's a full new system that will be presented there, but only as a presentation with a little bit filming and a model and something like this and some flyers, because there's no real prototype yet. It looks a little bit like the bus that you have been seeing on the drawing, on the title of the brochure, this kind of cube, electronic cube. So this mile of mobility will be on Sunday again until 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And the exhibition of all historic buses will be on Sunday from 11 o'clock till 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And there's also parallel a smaller exhibition of land machining and old cars and so on at a supermarket parking in Netphen, which can only happen on Sunday because on Saturday they need this parking. So there's also other program with music and presentations and so on, but this is not so important now to tell here. It is, to make it short, important to know that the buses will be visible on Saturday from 9 o'clock in the morning until they leave at 1 o'clock to make this tour in the Netphen area. They will return from 3 o'clock in the afternoon until 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and there will be a mobility mile on both days, Saturday from 11 till 7 and Sunday from 11 till 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And on Sunday there will also be a smaller presentation of heavy goods cars, I don't know the name at the moment, my English, trucks. Okay, there will also be an exhibition of trucks from 11 until 5 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday. So that all is happening in Netphen and around, and the program is printed in quite a big amount of pieces, so everybody can have a program and find the things that are presented in Netphen to celebrate 130 years of the first bus line. So we remind with this festival about the fact that it was the worker people and those employees of the steel factories in Siegen that were mainly wishing to have a reliable transport in the morning and in the evening back and forth, and that still it took quite some 10 more years until another bus line was invented in that area again.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Johannes. That was really interesting. And to be honest, the last person I ever thought I would hear in such a presentation was Ralph Nader. So I thought that caught a little bit everybody off by surprise. But
unsafe at any speed.
Thank you. Excuse me?
Unsafe at any speed was what Ralph Nader.
Unsafe at any speed, yes. I never thought I'd hear that in connection with Netphen, though.
No, but the bus was, no brakes, no good tires. So they were coming back to steel tires on the wooden rims, and so no light, nothing. So it was really an adventure.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you so much. That was wonderful. So I think we can go to the audience if there's any questions. We can, and if we don't mind, I think I'd like the first question for Timo, if it's not an imposition. I'll take the lead. I want to know, Timo, you're aware that in the World Motorcycle Rally in Italy, they powered a number of his older bikes with biofuel, and apparently the experiment was very successful. The octane ratings were highly stable, and the bikes suffered no issues whatsoever. So I was very interested to hear that at Netphen there's also a similar initiative with respect to sustainable diesel fuel. Is that correct? Could you maybe expand on that a little bit? Because I think that is something of interest to our colleagues who are collecting and working with utilitarian vehicles, because obviously we love historical vehicles, but we also want to be able to protect the environment as well. So I was very surprised to hear that there is such an initiative at Netphen. Could you maybe tell us a little bit about that, please?
Yes, I can tell you that HVO 100, that's hydrotreated vegetable oil, contains vegetable oil, animal fats, and recycled greases.
So it is a biofuel.
That's a biofuel, and the chain is identical chemical chain as diesel. So you can use that and make any differences, any adjusting, nothing. I have been using that since 6 years ago, all 6 years time in my trucks and buses, and no problem at all. It works very well. A bit smaller energy content, but it's okay. Works very well. And in Netfen, there is already 15 cubic meter of HVO waiting for these buses, so everybody can try and buy it for usual price.
Excellent. No, well, that's very interesting, and this is the first time I've heard about for gasoline powered vehicles, but this is the first time I hear about for diesel powered vehicles. So this is unique, and this is something I think should be highlighted during the event, and because we all have to play our part for sustainability. So that is truly interesting. So any questions from the audience? Okay. Well, if the colleagues don't mind, I'd like to ask a second question then. Okay, Mr. Hübner, please.
I just would like to explain where Siegen and Netfen in Germany are. It's the center, in the center of Germany, and the Siegerland is quite near to the area of Cologne and in the north of Frankfurt. So if people want to get there, they just take the motorway A45, which is leading down from Oberhausen in the Ruhr area down to the Rhine-Main area. And there is an own exit Siegen. And if you take the exit Siegen, then there is some kind of a 4-lane road that leads very near to Netfen. So nobody must fear that it is difficult to get there. You can even get there easily by train if you go to Siegen, and from Siegen then there will be shuttle buses bringing people up to Netfen. So it is wherever you are coming from, it's quite well situated.
Okay. And I understand it's open to the public, correct? The event, so there's no restrictions and no ticket sales. Anybody can basically come and partake.
Yeah,
it's wonderful. Okay, and Mr. Hübner, I just want to ask another question. When the line was wrapped up in December, I believe, because with the winter coming on, and it was very impractical to continue. What happened after that? Was there a gap in time before? Because apparently, the fact that people were traveling 3 hours a day, and then suddenly they had access to a bus line, which would shorten their transportation times. I'm just wondering, how long a gap was there before the bus line started again in Netfen?
As far as I know, it was about 10 years, because
10 years.
The bus they had, these 2 Benz buses, and many historians describe it, were very unreliable. They stopped quite a lot of times in between because of technical failures or problems with the wheels and so on. But nevertheless, they transported in the time from March to December, within these 9 months, about 14,000 people. So it shows that there was quite a demand to have this kind of bus line thing. But since there were no buses available, like the ones that we saw in Päl's report, ones of the better kind, like the French ones, they were really more reliable. They were, and the British ones. Since there were no buses possible to buy at the moment, so the community of Netfen and Deutz and so on, they decided to wait until they would find a vehicle that would do the service a bit more reliable, because it was very expensive to run all this. As far as I know, it took about more than 10 years, and that would mean about 1905. I would rather suggest 1910 because there was no real bus line in the area that replaced what has been there.
I see. And what was the replacement? Was that also a Benz or?
I don't know. I'm sorry. I tried to find that out. Probably it's in the archives of Netphen or so. I didn't find that on the documents that are in the brochure. So it needs a little bit of investigation.
Okay, I see. Okay, and Dr. Ďegiši, would you like to add anything to that, or?
No. As I said, for a few years, the Germans did not build any more buses, neither Benz nor Daimler. So Daimler returned to the field in 1898 or 99. And even these few years, once somebody said that in these early years, the technical advancement was so rapid that every year counts as 4 years in terms of technological advancement. So even that Daimler started building buses in 1899 was a huge deal.
Yeah.
I have a question, actually, if I can.
Please.
Is there any historical reason why buses are not that highlighted in comparison with cars and motorcycles, for instance?
Yes, there is a reason. And it's a very simple reason, because you can also ask why washing machines are not so highlighted. It's not a joke. It's really not a joke. This is a very serious issue, because these are personal devices. The car is a personal device, the motorcycle, the washing machine is a personal device. And because people have a very special relationship to their transportation devices. With bicycles, this was not so much the case. It was the case, but not so much. But with cars, the car became a symbol with a lot of meanings. It was a symbol of national identity, a symbol of someone's wealth. Same goes with the motorcycles. Therefore, there's a lot of materials, recollections, and this is a very important object. A washing machine is not so much an important object. And unfortunately, the same goes with buses. The bus is not a personal transportation device. So there are a lot of bus museums, especially in the UK, where there's a huge culture of bus history. But it's not as big as the car, because the car has a personal connection.
It was stated.
Please, Mr. Gilbertson, start.
It was stated that there was no braking at all in those initial vehicles, and sounds like there wasn't anything that even rubbed against the wheels to maybe slow it down. But I'm interested in what year some sort of a decent braking system came into being for the buses.
Mr. Hübner, would you like to take that one?
I'm not sure, but I think they were the brake pioneers. In Germany, it was the company Knorr. And they tried to find a new way to make brakes instead of having a piece of rubber or wood pressing against the wheel on its outside, to find some kind of a drum brake solution. And these drum brakes, they started life with motorsports. So from about 1901 on, from when the first races started and then the international races came, better brakes were available. And these were then also put into all kind of other vehicles, not only the racing cars. But this all came, as far as I know, from Great Britain at the one hand, and from France at the other hand. And there's still a proof that maybe the car, the engine was invented in Germany, but that at the other hand, the development of the whole thing to make it reliable was mainly made in England and France. And I just remind everybody, nearly worldwide, we are driving cars on a chassis, and we have a limousine or a coupe or a convertible, or we have a Berliner, whatever. These are all wordings from coach builders from the time of Louis XVI, Louis XVI, and on. So if you look then, for example, to Germany, you have body manufacturers like Gläser in Dresden, who were making coaches first for more than 20, 30 years before they started with cars. And these manufacturers of bodies and these people who gave names to the certain types of bodies, they were also these people who wanted to have better brakes, because without brakes you couldn't drive the things.
Thank you.
In 1896, Daimler built the first truck which had a wooden shoe brake, and in 1899, when they started building buses, the buses also had wooden shoe brakes.
It's fun. Okay. Well, thank you for that.
One more remark.
Yes, please.
Bus traffic developed mainly in the big cities of the world, London and Paris. There you had double-decker buses and everything like this very early, the steam buses we have seen at Paul's presentation, because there were too many people who wanted to transport also in the city, in the area, and there was no possibility to do this with horses anymore, only with horses anymore. And therefore, from 1900 on, the bus started a career which was strongly influenced by the fact that a certain Mr. Haussmann made a revolution in Paris concerning the architecture and the traffic. He was installing the avenues, he was installing the boulevards, he was the man behind the metro in Paris already in a time when the bus was also trying to develop. So the rails in these days were developing very quick and getting very, very much money as a public transport. And the bus development then, in my opinion, followed this path and started in the big cities first before the overland lines got into public. And this is in the 20s after World War I.
Okay. It's very interesting. Well, I'm just thinking, when we look at, one aspect that I'm looking at right now is that when today I understand, Mr. Hübner, you'll be one of the scrutineers for the FIVA ID card for the bus. And I'm just curious to know, because we have some very distinguished guests like Mr. Gilbertson with us tonight. When you do a scrutineering for a bus, how different is it really when you're doing it for a passenger vehicle or or a car or whatnot? I'd be very interested to see, because this is a whole new field, and the FIVA ID card is really one of the best methods to certify a vehicle, because it goes through a very thorough scrutineering process, and by people working with the local ANFs. And they, I'm just thinking, is there a different approach when you do a scrutineering for a bus, or how does, or is it exactly the same as you would do it with a passenger vehicle?
Well, the general approach is first of all to check the line of owners. When was it sold first, to whom, who gave it on to the next person, and so on. So this is identical to what we have with the passenger cars. You need a history that can be proved, and a car with a history is half of the job, like we say. Then, of course, we have the lucky situation that buses are quite well documented, also concerning the technology used. So the underfloor engines, for example, that we see on these Swiss buses, we are giving one of the passports to, are very well documented. We have all the buses we have in Netphen to look at are both Swiss buses of FBW and of Berner, and they were both ordered by the Swiss Post. And we still have the original order sheet with all details. You can see even the gearbox number and the ratio of the rear axles. And you can see that they ordered these special Trilex wheels that can be taken apart, that the chauffeur in winter can repair the wheels himself because there's no third person to help him. And you can see how who delivered the seats and how the heating system and the climatization was made and so on. If you are judging a bus as a scrutineer, it's mainly looking whether things are in the order as described in the documents you have with the bus. That's much better as with many passenger cars in comparison, because many passenger cars, I like to say, the more value I have, the more stories they have. Many passenger cars have stories, and you have to try to find out what is the truth and what has been really happening, and is it the one you are looking at, or is it not a real Porsche Carrera 2.7 but some that got to be one. So therefore I'm quite happy with this kind of scrutineering of buses. And the owners of these buses, they do all they can do to feed you with all the documents before you see the bus the first time. And it's some kind, we will have a happy hour, I think, to scrutineer these buses and look at what is presented there, because it's all well painted, well preserved, and taken care with the glance at originality that is needed.
I see. It's fascinating. So do we have any questions from the audience? Okay. So Timo, I'm just wondering, will this be the first time that a bus will be getting the FIVA ID card, or do we have a precedent for that?
These 3 buses are the first one, which are so big ones. There is none of them before these 3 ones.
Okay, so we'll be getting three ID cards, but this will be the first time so it's opening a whole new field for the FIVA ID card, I believe. And I believe you're also we'll be expanding it to the tractors as well, correct?
Yes, it's possible if people want. Yes.
Of course. And then so that means that trucks would also be on the agenda then.
Trucks, there is already some of them.
There is some. How
Yes.
many trucks have the FIVA ID card now?
I have not the figure.
Okay. All right.
You
So,
can
yes, please.
Important it is to include also tractors, for example, or farm vehicles in the FIVA ID card. If you look at the development of all those kind of Lamborghini and Porsche farm vehicles that are flooding the exhibitions and that have very high prices, and where people now are also looking to the fact, is it original and is it true the car or vehicle I wanted to buy?
I see. So it's, I think the same scrutiny that is going with the actual cars is now going to the tractors as well then.
In some way.
So, okay. Yes. So Alisa, how are you doing on time?
Yes, right on time, I must add. It's maybe the first time. So congratulations, bravo.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Well, so there's a first time for everything. Okay, well, if the audience allows me, I would just like to say I want to take this opportunity to, first of all, thank our very distinguished guests, both in the audience and in the panel today. We were very honored to have you with us. And also, I want to take a special thank you to Timo and his team in the Utilitarian Commission. These gentlemen work tremendously to preserve and protect utilitarian vehicles. And really, their activity, we owe a big debt to them for all the work that they do, and they constantly with meetings and following up and taking care and having the events. So Timo, thank you to you and the Utilitarian Commission, and also our very distinguished Dr. 𝚐𝚐 and Mr. Hübner, thank you so much for joining us. I, for one, learned a lot tonight. So thank you to everybody. And it was an honor to be with you tonight. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the opportunity. Good night. Have a nice weekend. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
See you in Netfen.
Thank you.
We hope so.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yes.
Bye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good night,
Thank you.
everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.